Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Dodds. I work with Garage Composites, and we're here today to talk about the fair credit policy. So, first thing I want to do real quick is apologize for the condition of my voice. I woke up this morning and I actually had no voice. So, this is a drastic improvement over where I woke up. So, hopefully, my voice will hold out through the entire 20 minutes. I don't have to talk the entire time. Luckily, I'm going to run some video and stuff for you, so we should be fine. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to cover today is the NADA Fair Credit Policy. So to give you a little bit of history on this, and the video will also go over this, but I wanted to add a little bit of color. So what happened a few years ago is the Customer Financial Protection Bureau, also known as the CFPB, made allegations that dealers were discriminating against customers based on the rate bump. So what I mean when I say rate bump is that a lot of banks that you deal with, you can purchase the rate from the bank at, we'll say 6.9. And then you have the ability to charge the customer 8.9. And then you get either the entire difference in rate or you get a portion of that difference paid to you in the form of income from the bank. So what the allegation said is that, not everybody across different demographics was paying the same increase in rate. So when we talk about discrimination, there are certain protected classes. There's race, there's color, there's marital status, national origin. There are a whole list of protected classes. Well, the problem is, if you notice, as I kind of went through those, race is a protected class. So it doesn't say if you are a specific race, you are protected. It is race. And if you're a living, breathing human being, you are a race. So therefore, you can be discriminated against. If you are not treated exactly like everyone else that walks in the door, you have been discriminated against. And if you really look at the interpretation of the law, to the point where basically if you were to take a coin and you flip a coin 100 times, statistically we know you are not going to end up with 50 heads and 50 tails. And through that action, you actually would have discriminated against one of those sides of the coin. So what the point that I'm making there is that random is not equal. And that's where, if you don't have a policy, if you don't have a specific way that you treat this rate increase that you can charge the customer, you are discriminating against the customer. Intent or not, you are discriminating. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk through what we recommend, what the NADA recommends as far as a policy that you put in place that protects the dealership from an accusation, or protects the dealership from actually being taken to court for any kind of discrimination around rate. And this can be expanded out to other areas of the dealership. This policy is pretty much, it's a pretty solid policy. So I'm going to go ahead and go through it. If you've been on one of these webinars before, you know that I lean on our online training arm for some of the content. So Wheelhouse College is the portal that we use for all of Garage Composites online training. We have Sam's Garage is located here. Sam's Dock, which is for the boat industry, is located here. Sam's Peloton, which is the bicycle industry online training. And then also Power Sports Dealership Compliance, which is our compliance arm. So all of the compliance certification training is done through the online interface. If you are interested in getting certified as a compliance manager, feel free to contact me directly, Steve at Garage Composites, or you can go to compliance@garagecomposites.com, or you can come to the website and you can find some more information there. It's just wheelhouse.college. So what I've done is gone in through this portal. I've logged into my testing ID for the compliance program, and I'm going to play you a couple videos. So the first video is just going to touch on the why, and it's going to reiterate some of the stuff I already said, but I want to make sure that we go through this, and it's 1:14 long, so not a long video. So let me go ahead and play this.
When the NADA, which is the National Auto Dealers Association, realized how serious the CFPB was about this accusation of discrimination based on the rate bumps that the dealers are allowed to use, they came up with a dealer recommendation, a policy that they recommend that every dealer put in place that will allow you to protect yourself from an accusation of discrimination. And really what it comes down to is documentation. So as long as you document every interaction with the customer and what you did with that rate, it really does protect you if there is an audit or there is an accusation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the policy, how it lays out. I'll also have some links where you can download the recommended NADA policy, both Word documents and PDFs, so you'll be able to fairly easily take this policy and implement it in your dealership and know that you're protected.
Okay, so on to the next video. Now this one's going to actually walk you through the policy. And
Okay, so here we're going to walk through the NADA Fair Credit Compliance Policy and Program. What this is basically a recommendation from NADA on a policy that every dealership should have. Now, we talked earlier about the CFPB and the accusations they had made about dealers discriminating against customers based on how that rate bump is applied. By putting in writing what your policy is and documenting what you do with rate, you can easily avoid any kind of accusation of discrimination. First thing I want to point out, I'm just going to kind of walk you through this PDF here. I'm also going to post this PDF as a link on the website, and I'm going to post an editable Word document that you can use to create your policy, create the forms, that kind of stuff. So the first thing in this policy recommendation is just an overview of kind of what the program is, and it also walks you through how to use the templates, and then it gets down to a sample of what your policy should look like. So it's going to walk you through, you know, what information should be in your policy and how you want to structure that program. The first form you're going to get to that you'll need to fill out is really designed to appoint your person that's in charge of this program. And if you're watching this and becoming certified as a compliance manager, then in that case, that would be you. You would be the, as they stated here, the Fair Credit Compliance Program Coordinator. And you'd be identified in this document right here. Next, you have your sign that they recommend that you hang in the finance office or wherever your paperwork is signed. Now, just like with any signs, you want to make sure they are hung in plain view of the customer when they are sitting down signing paperwork. Behind the finance manager is perfect as long as it's in plain view. The next thing you'll see in here is the standard dealer participation rate. Now, you'll want to fill one of these out for every single bank you work with. Say you do business with MB Financial, then you want to identify that with MB Financial, our standard is to bump 2 points, you know, or whatever your standard is. And then with American Honda Finance, our standard is this, and with Eagle Mark, our standard is this, and with whatever your local credit union, our standard is this. So you want to be, number one, have a policy, be as consistent as possible. So the next thing you're going to see is the Dealer Participation Certification Form. This is the form that actually goes in each individual deal where you have the opportunity to bump the rate. The form is a two-parter. The first piece, any of the white area, is going to basically be filled out by whoever signs the loan with the customer, so your finance manager. The second piece is a review to certify that what was said by the finance manager is in fact correct. Let's say we're financing a deal with a local credit union and you have the ability to bump 2 points on the loan. So the finance manager would fill out the buyer's name, the date, the assignee, which is the bank that the loan will be assigned to, or the credit union the loan will be assigned to, VIN number, and then the standard participation rate. Now, let's say with this bank you have the ability to bump 2 points. That's what would go there is 2%. And then the final dealer participation rate, and let's say you go ahead and bump it to 2 points. So you follow the standard procedure. In this case, all you need to do as a finance manager is sign the bottom. You did what you were supposed to do, all good. And then when the deal comes back to the back for review, this piece right here would be filled out to verify that, yes, that is in fact what happened. Finance manager did what they were supposed to do, all good. Now, let's say that your standard bump is 2% and you bumped it 1%. Well, now we just need to document why. And you'll see these reasons listed right down here. So the first one is dealer participation limited by finance source. So, let's say it's a special finance program through the OEM. They're not going to pay you reserve on it because they're not going to let you bump the rate. So then that would be a good example of dealer participation limited by finance source. Customers stated that the payment, couldn't be above a certain dollar amount and we had to modify the rate to get there. We were competing with another bank, or, all of those things, the reasons that we would not bump the rate are listed there. And then there's, you could also fill in an other in that bottom section here. So, and then of course you would sign, date, print, and title, and then the paperwork would go to the bank. And again, the compliance manager would review and certify that's what happened. So if you have any further questions, please download the PDF and the Word document, look through it. It's pretty thorough with the explanation of how the program works. And this is just a good way to keep you from really having to deal with any accusations. And it's not so much that I really think that anybody out there is discriminating, but whether you are or not, the accusation itself costs so much money in time and legal fees that putting a simple process like this in place really will keep you from having a headache down the road.
Okay, so that right there was your fair credit policy. So what I'm going to send you, like I said in the video, you'll get a copy of the PDF and the Word document. The PDF is what I actually use to go through the policy. It explains the policy. It's a total of 24 pages, so it's not a huge document, but it does go through in pretty good detail how you want to lay the policy out, the parameters for modifying rate. There are a lot of things in there, so read through that document. And then the other thing you're going to get from me is the Word document. And this is probably even more valuable than the PDF because this is what's going to actually allow you to create your own policy from this. So the policy is going to start, or the Word document, is going to start off with what you want to have on hand as far as a written policy that you can show. This is the way we do it if you ever have an accusation. So NADA's lawyers have gone through and vetted this program, so I feel pretty solid recommending that you use this as a basis for your program. Now, with any of the stuff that I give you or anybody gives you that deals with compliance, you want to have your legal advisor look over this and make sure that it fits their interpretation of the law. Law, unfortunately, is all about interpretation, not about actual what it actually says. It's all interpreting the law, so there's a little bit of squishiness there, but you want to make sure that your legal advisor says, yes, this applies, this fits, we're going to use this. So the policy lays out exactly what you do. Like I said in the document, or in the video, there's the appointment sheet, there's the sign that you want to hang up, there is a standard participation rate, which you fill out for every bank. The inventory reduction criteria is not something we really use in the motorcycle industry. It's more of a car piece. And then this is the form that you would actually fill out and put in each deal. If you can't see the writing on this form, don't worry about it. It'll be in the documents I send you. But this is the one you would actually send out with the reasons that you either didn't bump the rate, or this is where you document that you did bump the rate. Now, this piece right here is really important. This is probably the most important piece of the entire policy. The issue is that 2 years from now, if there's an accusation, I'm not going to remember, if I'm the finance manager, why I did or did not bump the rate on a specific customer. Just not going to remember. And without that documentation, anything can look like discrimination, whether the intent is there or not. So this is really the piece that protects the finance manager, the dealership, the compliance manager, everybody involved, the owner most of all, from any kind of dealing with any kind of accusation of discrimination. Documentation is the best thing to make that any kind of accusation go away, and that comes with that's with any form of discrimination whatsoever. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm actually not going to stay on and answer any questions live just because of my voice today. The other thing I am going to throw out there is, if you do not already have a copy of Hudson Cook's book, Car Law, F&I Legal Desk Book, this is a great reference tool. Please pick one up. It's not necessarily something you'd read from cover to cover, but if you have any specific questions about any of the laws out there, this is a great reference book. We also use it as our textbook for our compliance certification program. So pick one of those up. Any questions whatsoever, please email me, steve@garagecomposites.com or compliance@garagecomposites. Pardon me. Our next webinar will be next Thursday. The times are on the sheet. If you're on the email list, you'll get an invitation, or you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can just find Steve Dodds on LinkedIn, and I'll do the announcements through there. Next week, we'll talk about privacy policy. So if you, as a dealership, are not telling customers that you collect non-public information from, what you're doing with that information in the form of a privacy policy, this is one that you're going to want to attend. A lot of dealerships out there still are not handing out a privacy policy. Either they're not using the right form, they're not handing it out at all, or the timing is off and not all the customers are getting a privacy policy. So one area where dealers do kind of fall off is when you collect a driver's license for a test ride. You're collecting non-public information. You need to be giving a privacy policy to that customer. And I don't mean just giving it. What I recommend is giving it to them, having them sign it, and you keep a copy. So if you have any inkling that you might not be following the privacy policy to the T, please join me on that webinar. It's just like this one, quick hit, 20-minute, and hopefully I will see you guys there. But until next week, thank you very much.